photo courtesy Shellard Photography. The Mount Royal men have always been used to being formidable to beat on the hardwood. Proof is in the team's countless winning seasons that have resulted in the collection of banners and hardware in the Alberta Colleges Athletic Conference. But the transition to youth sport 7 years ago has shown the challenges and growing pains endured by the MRU Cougars, who are now proving themselves as a contender in Canada West every season. Marc Dobell has been with the Cougars men's basketball team since 1988 as a student athlete, eventually rising to suit up as an assistant coach upon graduation in 1995. He remained in that position for 3 more years until he was swooped away by the NATO OKs to become their head coach. After a successful stint with the OKs, he returned as head coach of the Cougars in 2004, and it has been his program ever since. Over his time with both Mount Royal and Marc Dobell has enjoyed quite a few accolades, winning ACAC Coach of the Year 6 times, including twice with Mount Royal. He also brought home 7 ACAC titles between the two squads, 4 with Mount Royal. His success has included national titles with Nate in 2003 and Mount Royal in 2009. He was also named the 2004 CCAA National Coach of the Year with Nate before he returned south. "I left and came back twice," Dobell said with a laugh. "When the opportunity of head coach at Mount Royal came up and the position was open, I jumped on it." He recalls the news of the school transitioning to the university athletics level. "We were really excited," Dobell said. "There was talk of Mount Royal becoming a university at that time, which was part of why I wanted to come back. We were all ready to take that jump and take on the new challenges, seeing what was out there beyond the ACAC and the CCAA where we had a ton of success. We were really, eyes wide open, and a little naive." Dobell understood that MRU would not be heavy contenders from the start in 2012. "For the first couple of years, we were trying to figure out the lay of the land, what Canada West is all about, who are the teams, style of play, where to go when you get to the city," Dobell said. "Just everything was new to us and the learning curve the first couple of years. We're trying to focus on the process while playing as well as we can. For us, every win was a big win at the time. We knew early on that every game was going to be a war. That helped motivate our guys, for sure, knowing that if we didn't compete we would get our butts kicked wearing the MRU logo." Some of the growing pains the Cougars had to go through early on was the reality of every game in any given week determining the season right there and then. "When I look back at those years, we didn't lose playoffs on the last night of the season," Dobell said. "Our season was decided in October and November. I feel like we had rosters that could have qualified for the playoffs and even competed. It is what it is. What happens in early November and January is what affects what goes on in playoffs. We had a couple of times, we bit ourselves in the foot by losing an early game in the season that came back to haunt us. There's no easy game in this league. We need to be ready to compete every night just to have a chance." Fast forward a handful of years, the progression is evident. Over the last few seasons, MRU has missed out on playoffs because of tiebreakers a number of times, and today, the Cougars are finally in the championship bracket. No 12 Mauritanian Uguias travel to face 5th-ranked Regina in an all-Cougars matchup of the play-in round of Canada West playoffs with Friday's tip-off set for 6 p.m. "Getting over it wasn't easy. We had to do it on the last night," said Dobell of this season's success. "Our guys had to compete and fight everything off to get that win. Our guys showed a lot of resiliency. They know the history of the program and what this means to the school, and they found their success." The 99-94 win against the chasing Brandon Bobcats secured a first-ever playoff berth last weekend. "We knew right away," Dobell said on the team clinching a playoff spot at the end of the game. "The guys were obviously ecstatic, but it was a huge sigh of relief for me for everything we've gone through the last number of years. The achievement of playoffs has a monumental meaning for the program, for Dobell and Cougars basketball. It's a big move forward for recruiting," said the head coach. "We can say that we are a playoff team, and if we can win this weekend that will just help even more with recruiting and the perception on the growth of Cougar basketball. We feel like we could have been here a couple of times. Being on the wrong end of tiebreakers or something happening in the last night of the season was frustrating, so it's taken us longer than what we hoped for, but we're excited that we're finally here. The last few years have been a different level of comfort knowing the league and understanding the teams. Now it's a matter of building our program and competing night in and night out with all the other schools. Dobell's vision for Cougars basketball doesn't only include competing for hardware on the hardwood but also being relevant in the community while building the name of MRU basketball. We want to compete for conference championships, but bottom line, we haven't been there yet, but that's certainly a vision I have with our program, Dobell said. We want to be known as a local program that recruits from within as much as we can and be supplemented by other keen players from out of the province. I want to be known as the school that has the local Calgary product. We want to help grow and develop those local kids and win championships with them with the support of the people around here. We want to grow our program with local talent, local kids. Making playoffs this year makes us not want to be a blip on the screen but to be a consistent playoff team, reach the top to host and eventually compete for titles like our school once did. Dinos men's HOCKEYA. Dominant weekend for the University of Calgary Dinos men's hockey team against the Regina Cougars sets the stage for what should be a heated last weekend of regular season hockey in a matchup against the Alberta Golden Bears. The regular season finale kicks off Friday at Father David Bauer Arena, 7 p.m. The series will continue Saturday in Edmonton at Clare Drake Arena, 7 p.m. Calgary has been on a recent hot streak at the right time as the playoffs are just around the corner. The Dinos have now picked up points in 9 consecutive games, a streak that began Jan. The only thing holding them back from a 9-game win streak was a double overtime loss at the hands of the UBC Thunderbirds. Over that stretch, the Dinos have outscored opponents 32-10 and are riding a 4-game win streak coming into the weekend. The line of Riley Sheen, Coda Gordon and Matt Alfaro put on a show for the home crowd last weekend against the Cougars. During the first game, the trio combined for 9 points, including a 4-point night for Sheen, extending his point streak to 6 games. The line wasn't done there though as they continued to impress in the second game by producing 2 goals as a line, totaling a 13-point series. On Friday night, the Dinos will recognize a pair of fifth-year players who will close out their university hockey careers this season. Defenseman Dylan Busenius and forward Kane Franson are the last remaining players from their recruiting class in 2014 and have been major contributors to the Dinos since joining the program. Busenius and Franson have competed in the U Sports All-Star Series for the past 2 seasons and could be in consideration for conference awards this year. The Dinos will open up their playoff run with a 3-game series at Father David Bauer Arena starting February 15, while the Golden Bears, sitting in second place, will receive a bye through the opening round. Dinos women's hockey team will look to finish the 2018-19 season in the win column as they begin a home-and-home set with the Alberta Pandas in the final weekend of the Canada West season. The weekend kicks off in Edmonton on Friday at Clare Drake Arena, 7 p.m. Father David Bauer Arena will play host to the final game of the season on Saturday, 6 p.m. In the first installment of the Battle of Alberta in early December, the Dinos had arguably their best performance of the season against a very strong Pandas team. Holly Ruther and Delaney Frey gave the Dinos a tight 2-1 home win in the first game of the series. The next day, a late goal from Amy Boucher spoiled the Calgary comeback as Alberta split the weekend with a 2-1 win. The trio of Rachel Paul, Delaney Frey and Sage Desjardins have had an offensive surge for the Dinos in the second half of the season. While Paul was not able to get on the scoresheet last weekend, Frey and Desjardins both had goals as the Dinos fell 2-1 in both games to the Regina Cougars. A highlight of the past few weeks for the Dinos has been their exceptional penalty-killing unit. Over the past 8 games, the penalty kill has reached an impressive 91.25%, including a 4-game stretch that has seen 15 straight opponent power plays shut down.